Welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 123 of the Back Nine Six Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. It's very rare I'm in this kind of mood when we do this show, but I'm just pissed off. Just mad as hell, dude.
Our football teams are not doing very well.
It's just all of it, man. Like this whole weekend.
And our golf teams are not doing very well either.
No. What Team USA did, what our team Red did, the Bengals, your Packers, like the Reds right now lead off home run to Ohtani. Like
it's been a subpar, pun intended, last 5 days of sports for us.
Good God, dude. Like I straight up, and I don't even do this ever. One, I usually don't drink the brown water during the week. It's usually a weekend special.
I don't either. Yeah. But
and also I never put it on ice, but like I needed I didn't want a warm beverage. I'm usually a neat guy with my bourbon, but no, tonight this is like I need to get this down the hatch. This is just like hate drinking right now.
I feel you. Yeah. It's I think after October, I might be done with sports for a little bit. I know that sounds so bad. It sounds so bad, but
at least your Packers do have some hope, and you're going to a pretty sweet. You're going up to Lambeau for the first time, so you got some stuff to look forward to. I've already it's week 4. I've reached fire everybody, sell the team mode. Like that's where I'm already there.
So. Yeah, last night we can start with last night. Let's start with last night.
Sure.
So obviously this is a Tuesday. We usually record on Monday. We decided together that, hey, let's push this until Tuesday so we can watch the Bengals game.
Yeah,
seems relatively reasonable. We got about a quarter in, and I said, "Why did we push this to watch this?" Like, I almost wanted to text you because it was only like 9:15. Like. Do we just want to do this? Like,
maybe we should have. I might have been in a better mood, and I wouldn't have had to subject myself to that game last night. I mean, just like it's an unserious franchise. I think this is more proof of just like how much Joe Burrow is carrying the load here, and I've seen enough. Like it, just look at the record without him playing quarterback. I know it's a big, massive, absence. You could do that probably with any head coach and their quarterback. But this team, to come out that way in back-to-back weeks and just, be wholly unprepared to actually play a football game. There were so many times last night, I don't even know what they were doing. The penalties, there was a 3rd and 15, and I think they just decided, we're just going to take this delay a game and not, there was 10 seconds left, and they just were no one knew what the play call was. They just took the penalty.
Yeah, last night's game reminded me a lot of the Tennessee Titans game last year. Now, they won that game, but if you remember, it was sloppy.
Oh, yeah, it was 16
and it was kind of coming off a long break, if I remember correctly, and it was they came out and did that, and you're like, how? You know what I mean? How do you come off a break, an extended break? You have an extra day to prepare. You know what I mean? And you do that. It is an unserious franchise, and I'll be honest. I was one of the people that, they're not my favorite team, so I know it's really hard for me to kind of give opinions on this. But I don't think there's any other franchise signing 2 number 1 wide receivers. And here's the problem: you see it last night. Their defense, it's not coaching; it just lacks talent. It just across
Straight
the
up.
board lacks talent.
Yeah,
and the problem with that is bad drafts. Combined with you've got a lot of money tied up on the offensive side of the ball. And it's, I'd love to tell you guys it's going to get better. I think it's only going to get worse. I really do. I mean, I don't know where they go from here. I really don't.
No, and the last thing I'll say, because I just don't want to spend this much time on this, but that play, and I shared the overhead with you guys last night where we literally had 4 guys blocking 1 player. And then our tackles are just turned around backwards, running towards Jake Browning as he's getting sacked by 2 guys at once. I think that is the picture of, if who knows what's going to happen with Zach Taylor. They probably won't fire him because it's just the way the Bengals are. But if it ends, I think that's kind of my lasting image of of this team under his, coaching is, I mean, he's taken us to some incredible highs. I can't argue that, but like, how much of that is he lucked into Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and how much is him actually doing anything?
Yeah. And I it is funny. Like, obviously I've been through this, right? Having a lot of money tied up in a quarterback of your favorite team, and people used to laugh like, oh, Favre and Rodgers and all this, like they're thrown to nobodies. And it's like, well, you kind of have to, right? Like when you take up that much salary cap with like literally two guys, like, in the Bengals case, three guys, like there's going to be some nobodies. And that's where the drafting comes in, right? Yeah. The Packers all been pretty good at it, right? To kind of fill those gaps and kind of bridge over to like, hey, our floor is like 9-8, a good season's 13, 14 wins, right? So it's all about the draft. If you're going to have money tied up into guys, it's all about the draft. And unfortunately, the Bengals have just continually whiffed on guys year after year,
Ugh.
So, By the way, good news while we move on, the Reds are not going to get no hit tonight. We do have a hit on the board. So
okay. Yeah, I turned around and saw somebody die for a ball, so that's good.
For any of us Reds fans and, starting probably about 30 years old, we were all around for that Phillies playoff game. So
oh yeah.
A lot of bad memories behind getting no hit in the playoffs. So
jeez. Yeah. All right, well, before we get into more sports letdowns and whatnot, thank you all for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show, and follow us on social media at Back96Pack. Well, we're going to start with our Ryder Cup before we dive into the big real Ryder Cup, so to speak. We got our asses kicked, man.
Yeah. Well, and you remember we kind of talked about it on here. It was like our top half is good, right? Like that's where we got our advantage. And unfortunately, like we were just losing matches that we had no business in losing. And
yeah,
I think a lot of that might be some sandbaggers on the other team, right? Like they play a little better than their handicaps. I also think people are just struggle to play match play. Like if you don't play it a lot or you just don't play it at all, going back and looking at our matches that we should have won, that we lost, like their side had some people that had played competitively and have played some match play, and the other side, our side did not, right? So it's a different game. It really is. And there's, it's hard to kind of, we get so wrapped up. I think people that don't play match play much, you get so wrapped up in like, well, I'm going to hit this here because my score counts, right? In match play, it's like, if the guy's on the green 10 feet away, like you kind of have to take chances, right? You can't just chip out or whatever. Or vice versa, right? Like if the guy's in the woods, like you don't have to do anything special, like just keep it in play, right? So I think that was part of our problem, I think. And I just think like some of our guys I was talking to, they just didn't play well. And it's amateur golf, right? Like that's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's kind of how I thought of it. Is like, yeah, we had, we thought we had pretty good handicap advantage and stuff, but like, once you're from like, I don't know, you probably say from like 5 to 13, 4, like that range of handicap is such a crapshoot.
Oh, we could go out and play this next weekend and we could win, right? Like legitimately. And it's so funny, like the one pairing that we were like, okay, we're probably not going to get any points out of this. They got 1.5 points. So it's kind of funny how that works. And never, especially when you're talking about amateur golf and plus, over 10 handicaps, it's an absolute crapshoot, right?
Yeah, this is so to give context to how bad we lost 29-19. Best ball, we lost 4.5 to 7.5. Alt shot 2.5 to 9.5, which was shocking. I think this is where we realized, like, oh, everything we thought was just like completely blown up in alt shot.
Yeah, which is crazy because Stein and I we were talking even before the round and even during the best ball, like, we were like, our advantage is in alt shot, right? At that point in the day, like Stein was playing better than, Wes's partner that was equal to Stein's handicap. And it was like, we're gonna, and then I kind of lost it for 4 or 5 holes on alt shot. We sat around for a really long time after the first match.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about stretching or not hit balls. I wouldn't want to hit balls, but like just even getting up and like stretching a little bit and taking a couple swings. I didn't even think about that. And we got off to a slow start in Old Shot. And I kind of heard that from everybody, but they dealt with the same thing, right? Like they're waiting around too. So
yeah,
it really did surprise me how poorly we did.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak to what happened in our group, and shout out to my buddy and my partner Aaron. We had a blast out there. Yeah, we got beat I think 3-2 in Alt Shot, and just like never had golf is such a momentum sport, and I think in Alt Shot is like that is heightened big time. Because I feel like with Alt Shot, you never hear anybody that's just like, oh, we just, we ham and egged it around to shoot even or whatever. You either have somebody that shot like 5 under out of nowhere, or they shot like 45.
Yeah.
Like and we came out right off the gate, freaking double to par 5, just a bad break in the bunker. We were laying the green side in 3 and just up against the lip, and you could see how it could go bad from there. But like, yeah, it started that way, and we just never got on track after that. So like, that happened. But did I mention singles 12-12? We split singles, which was kind of wild.
Which, I again, I thought that was one that we maybe had a slight edge in.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to win singles by that much, though. Like, I was thinking like a 14-10 maybe, or something like that, or maybe even something closer than that, right? So that kind of landed where but considering how everybody played the whole day, we tie in singles. Like, it just it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I said I was chambering this. I'm trying to get my name on that trophy. I've got one more year of captaincy to get my name on the trophy. Wes was giving me shit. I played him in the singles. I did beat him. Just so it's clear, I did win my singles match. It was a pretty good match, though. He was like laughing. He was like, "Look, if I'm going to get beat, I'm going to get beat by someone that's under par." Like I said, I lost it in Alt Shot. Kind of found it during singles. Hit 7 greens in regulation. Just birdied the par 5s and won 2 and 1. So, kind of golf's a finicky thing when you're an amateur golfer. So,
yeah. So your record was 1-1-1. You had a little bit of everything.
Yep.
I went 2-1. We won best ball, and then I won my singles match. I won my singles match on the last hole. Made a par on 4 white, and Ward, who I was playing against, even if I didn't make that par, I was going to win that hole because he shot like $1 million on that hole alone. So, first time that I played in the event, match play is just the best. Like, it's so much fun. There's just something about, you're literally just trying to beat the guy you're playing with, versus trying to go shoot a number. Like, I never once thought about like what I was shooting on the day or what, none of that mattered. It was just like, all right, am I, what's this guy sitting? What do I have to do here? How many putts to win the hole? Like, all that stuff.
It's always analyzing the situation, right? Like, if the guy's short-sided, like, and you're sitting in the fairway, like, you're not going after the pin, right? Just pumping this thing right in the middle of the green and taking your par and making him get up and down to tie you, right?
Yeah.
I like it because it's constant analysis of like what's happening, not specifically with your ball, but with someone else's ball. And I don't think you get that in stroke play, even a tournament, right? Like, you're focused on, like, you can't control what that guy's doing, and nor does it probably affect you much unless it's like the final round. You're kind of coming down the stretch. You're not focusing on anybody but yourself. Mm-hmm. Now it's like another piece of that puzzle where you're like, all right, he's in the left, he's behind a tree. I'm sitting in the, in pretty good shape. Like, let's see where his ball, and especially par 5s, you're like, all right, let's see where his ball goes. And like, it might determine if I'm aggressive, not aggressive, or whatever. Yeah. So it is, it's cool. I love the like chess feature to it, right? It's kind of, it is a chess match out there when you're kind of, and maybe you're out and, it's probably the only form of golf where you're like, I don't mind being like a foot further on the putting green, right? Like, I want to go first and get this in the hole first, right? Or at least have that opportunity to do that. It's different. And I would tell anybody if you haven't, like, just on a Saturday morning, just go play it against your buddy, right? Like, it's a lot of fun. So,
yeah, there's something to it about like it. I spend a lot of time in my own head when I'm playing golf, and match play gets me out of my head.
Yeah,
right?
It does. Yeah, it can.
Yeah, and it's like I spend so much less time thinking about my swing and what I did on the last hole, and how many holes I have left to make pars to shoot whatever. And like I said, you're just trying to figure out how to get it in the hole before the guy you're playing against. So,
yep, exactly.
Yeah. And we're going to get you that. We're going to get your name on that trophy next year. I'm confident.
Yeah, I've got to happen. Can't lose all three.
Yeah, we'll get there. Team Red will be back in a big way next year. I feel it in my bones. But yeah, so we felt a little bit about like the American team, I think, Saturday afternoon. As we were doing that, they were absolutely getting their shit kicked in the Ryder Cup. So yeah, by now I think everybody knows what already happened in the Ryder Cup. USA obviously losing 15-13 in a score that was incredibly more close than we would have thought heading into Sunday morning. Just to kind of run down the results a little bit for anybody who may have missed some stuff. Obviously it starts on Friday. They do foursomes in the morning, floorball in the afternoon. USA lost foursomes in the morning 3-1. Rahm Hatton beat Bryson and Thomas. Ludwig and Matt Fitzpatrick defeat Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley. Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood beat Morikawa in English. More to come on them. And then the only win on the board there, Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay beat Robert McIntyre and Victor Hovland. Friday morning foursomes, going back to there, what stood out to you from those? Anything about Friday morning?
Well, I think, and this probably goes for almost every match, the Americans came out of the gates firing. It did. It was like, Europe would give up like an early lead on the first couple holes, and then it was like from there it was like all Europe. I thought the way we came out of the gate on Friday morning in foursomes, I'm like, this feels different. Like it kind of feels like Whistling Straits again. And then, the first match gets to hole 4 and it just like starts falling apart. And it was like every match we get to like hole 4 or 5 and just start falling apart for us. But that's kind of Friday morning, the way it felt in the beginning, I'm like, here we go. Like this is Whistling Straits all over again. And it just, unfortunately, Friday kind of fell apart at the same point in the golf course as most of the matches tend to fall apart.
Yeah, so a couple things stood out to me. One, I mean, these turned into some beatdowns. Like, it was 4-3, 5-3, 5-4. Like none of these were particularly close when it came down to the end of it. But a few other things. One, the whole Morikawa and English pairing. Like, I think anybody that was a golf fan that watched or listened to any kind of content leading up to this could give you the stat that Data Golf put out there. Like that was the nut low pairing they could have put out there. 132 out of 132 options. And they rode with that pairing twice in this event.
I'll be honest with you. You don't even need the statistics. If you just watch a little golf throughout the year, you would just know that's not going to be a good matchup against any of their pairings, right? You don't even need to know the stats behind it.
And then for them to get put up against, Rory and Tommy is just like a double whammy of
whammy. Yeah, it was like, when I saw that even before a tee shot was hit, I was like, all right, that's a loss. Like we're not winning all 4. Like that's going to be almost an automatic loss, and I'd be shocked if it wasn't. So
yeah. And the other thing that stood out was, another thing that if you just paid attention at all leading up to this, was that you wanted your longer hitter to tee off on the first hole. Just the way that the approach shots broke, the way that the holes themselves broke, you wanted to have your longer hitter off the first hole. Russell Henley tees off first with Scotty on Friday morning in a puzzling decision.
To say the least, yeah.
Yeah, and it apparently comes out later. I've heard this from a couple places now, that Scotty actually had to like kind of raise his hand and be like, "Hey, why are we doing this?"
Yeah, and I think it was like Friday night or something like that. They were like, "Why don't we? If we're going to roll these same teams out, we need to switch this." And I think Ted Scott had something to do with it as well.
Exactly, which is just absurd. So there's that, and then last thing, the Bryson JT pairing didn't work out. It was a clear like, "Hey, we're going for vibes" move up front. And I'm just a mere amateur podcaster here. I wanted to see Bryson and Cam Young off that first tee. Little did we know Cam Young would kind of be the rock star of this event, and they'd send them out the next morning and they'd get a win. Like, it's just a lot of, I know it's like Monday morning quarterback and stuff, but like a lot of the stuff that like everyday fans could kind of tell you went down,
What was puzzling to me is you have somebody from New York and he doesn't see, like, he's got to see, and maybe he's not in the first group, right? But he's got to see the first matches. He just got it. He's just got to. Especially given Cam Young's caliber of player. Like if you remember, I think it was Valhalla. Wasn't who was on that team? Bradley.
No, are you talking about Boo Weekley and JB Holmes?
JB Holmes, sorry. Yeah. JB Holmes. And JB Holmes is from Kentucky. Now, at that point in time, the caliber of player, JB Holmes was not that caliber of player. However, Cam Young is. Like, he should have, I get why JB Holmes is not out there in the morning, right? But you kind of, with his caliber and how he's been playing this year, getting his first win, all that, you kind of have to have him out there. That was pretty shocking.
Also, one of the hotter players in terms of form on our team, and two, he doesn't hold it anymore, but he previously held the course record at this course.
Yeah. And he's won multiple junior tournaments at this golf course, by the way.
Right. So. There's just so many red flags about that. So that was kind of morning foursomes. Again, also another thing, U.S. starting with foursomes, along with the course setup stuff, kind of feels like both things were an own goal. They are notably bad at foursomes. I know they're a little better at home, but what, do you want to get it out of the way and then maybe you squeak out a half or a win in the session and then you're feeling good, or do you just want to leave with four ball and try to get some red on the board and some momentum? So another thing, they probably, that's under their control, and they kind of botched that a little bit. Afternoon four ball, this one ended up 2.5 to 1.5, so a little less bad, but still not great. Cam Young and Justin Thomas roll. Ludwig and Rasmus Højgaard 6 and 5.
Cam Young's coming out party.
Yeah, absolutely. That's you. I think you sent a text of okay, he's officially no longer scam.
No, we're dropping the scam forever. He does, for the effort he put in this week. It's gone for good.
Yeah. Tommy and Justin Rose beat Bryson and Ben Griffin. Benny Booms did not really boom this week. John Rahm and Sepp Straka.
While you say that, I do want to say I don't think he played terrible, right?
Yeah.
There was other guys that did not play very well.
No,
you want to throw your Colin Morikawa. Harris English played okay, but I think he wasn't the worst player on the team.
Yeah, I'd have to pull up all the strokes gain stuff on that, but it's hard to tell in match play too. Rahm and Straka beat Scheffler and Spahn. Again, Scotty Scheffler starting off 0-2 on day one, not what you need. And then Rory and Lowry halved with Sam Burns and Patrick Cantlay. This one didn't have as much juice as the morning for me, other than the Cam Young JT thing kind of took the course by storm. But again, this is just a 5.5, 2.5 deficit going in. You got to go play foursomes again on Saturday. Just obviously not where the U.S. team wanted to be. And you're getting 0 points, 0-4 from Bryson and Scotty, who are in theory your top two players. And that takes us into Saturday, where things got really bad.
If you thought it was bad on Friday, you didn't want to watch Saturday.
Yeah, so the pairing of Bryson and Cam Young finally goes out first in the morning. They take down Matt Fitzpatrick and Ludwig, 4-2. And then from there, it's all blue on the board. Tommy and Rory roll Harris and Morikawa again. Rahm and Hatton get another win over Xander and Cantlay. And then Big Shot Bob, and Victor Hovland one-up win over Russ Henley and Scott Scheffler.
Yeah, and I can say, so here's my thing. So, after we see Saturday morning, we pretty much rolling out the same guys, right?
Yep.
Other than Cam Young's out there now. You stick with the Scotty and Henley thing because of analytics, right? The analytics tell you that's a really good alt shot. And here's the thing. I actually don't think they played that bad. I think they just caught the wrong people at the wrong time. I really do believe that. I think the Friday they played bad. Henley played bad Friday. Really gave Scotty just really no help at all. He finally gets a couple putts, makeable putts. He's on the team to be a putter, doesn't make them. But I think on Saturday they played pretty good after they switched it up, holes and things like that. But if you're going to lean on analytics and say this team is good analytics-wise, right, based on the statistics, how can you, in your right mind, roll the Morikawa and Harris English back out if you're really pushing on analytics, right, and keeping that team together, it completely goes against it when you're throwing those guys out there.
Yeah, 100%. Total agreement for me. They pick and choose whatever they thought, I guess, between all these things. And who knows what happened in the team room, too. If Scotty Scheffler's number one player in the world, I'm sure he had a little bit of input on some of this stuff. I would imagine they asked him some things. But again, that's something I think the U.S. team, consistently, we kind of we bow to egos a little bit. Europe checks theirs at the door and it becomes about the team. And I think that, in these ones that we lose like this, that always seems to show out compared to other ones.
Yeah. To me, the way Colin played in the morning on Friday, I'll tell you, Henley revived himself a little bit by the end of the week. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get the singles. But the way Colin played, again, it kind of comes down to they felt like they owed him. I don't know. He's been one of the top players in the world at some point, and it was just kind of he had to be out there. To me, it's just because you're on a team doesn't mean you're going to play more than one match. That's how I feel, right? It's kind of here's our horses. If you get to play more than one match singles, then you do. But if not, then it is what it is, right? This is not a fair playing time situation. Do you want guys on the course because you don't want to just throw them into singles with no, never playing the course? Yeah, but I think there's a time and a place for it. I think Colin would have been better used in a 4-ball situation. I think Harris English would have been better used in a 4-ball situation. But I saw someone tweet out there it's pretty simple formula. If you really look at what the Europeans do, they're they just put their best players out on the course for foursomes, and then the people sat at the bench, they put them with the best play, for the top best players, and that's all they do. It's not special, right? But not to get too far off subject, but yeah, I think it really does shine through when you start to see it's what is being said behind the door, closed doors, because there's a lot of feeling we owe guys to play them and stuff like that. And it's just I thought the way JT played on Friday, he probably didn't deserve to play on Saturday morning, but
yeah, no, I get it. That leads us into 4-ball in the afternoon on Saturday. The Blue Wave takes over here. Another 3-1 session. They go up 11.5 to 4.5. You get wins from Rory and Lowry, Fleetwood and Rose, and Hatton and Fitzpatrick. Rahm finally takes his first L as JJ Spawn kind of a little bit carried Schauffele around the course that day to get that victory.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, 11.5, 4.5 going into Sunday. Everything is doom and gloom. People were burying the team. We're having the conversations about how we nuke and blow up the whole thing and start over come 2027.
And you got Keegan out there talking about the 28-3 Super Bowl. I'm guessing at the beginning of the week he was not going to want to use that line, but he brought it out anyway. So.
Yeah, all of that conversation. But then the balls go in the air on Sunday. Some red gets up on the board. You've got early momentum. The Europeans, honestly, they stacked a lot of their studs early. I think their thought was probably let's just end it as soon as we can.
Yep.
Obviously, the U.S. team countered with their studs as well. The U.S. team wins, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the first 7 matches. 6 of the first 8. And it was a real possibility when you got to late afternoon on Sunday that they could make this comeback happen. Russ Henley, man. Taking a 1-up lead into 18, hits it in the fairway bunker on the left and hits an incredible golf shot to probably 8 feet.
I mean, I will say this: it's up there with Matt Fitzpatrick that he hit in the U.S. Open. It probably was better than that, actually. Given Matt Fitzpatrick at least had a flat lie. This guy's in the wall of the bunker. Upslope of the bunker. Yep. He's got heather, and that's what they were talking about on the broadcast. They were even if he can get this up, right, and not chunk it, to get it through that heather or get it over the heather is going to be a whole nother challenge, right? And just, I say, given the moment, knowing what was going on, knowing what he had to do on that hole, it is probably one of the best shots I've ever seen. I mean, and that's not understating. I really don't believe that. I just don't believe how people couldn't understand how hard that shot was.
Yeah, and then, unfortunately, Shane Lowry sticks it inside of him after that. And Russ, man, just it's the old adage of you just can't leave it short, right? He leaves it in the jaws short, and Lowry makes his to secure the winning point, the point to retain, I should say.
Yep.
And that was the ninth match to finish. So there's only 12 matches, and one of them got halved or forfeited, however you want to say it.
So there's 11 matches on the course, yeah. So
yeah,
2 matches left.
It was coming down to the wire there. It would have been a real opportunity for the Americans to actually flip this.
It was a legit opportunity. Yeah. I mean, and I remember, so we had a family golf outing on Sunday, and we teed off about 1:00. So pretty early on, right? I think the last group went off about 1:00, I want to say, maybe a little after 1. My dad's sitting in the cart with me. He's like, "You're really watching that?" And I was like, "I got to at least keep it on. I'm not thinking they're going to make a comeback, but I want to see how things unfold or whatever." As the day goes on, probably their 7th or 8th hole, you're like, this is not, it's not going the way. JT's down in his match. JT ends up winning his match. It just, the front half was just not going the way that you would have probably expected. You had Bryson out there as 5 down through 7 holes. I mean, it was just a mess. You're like, here, dude, they're going to win. They're going to win they may break records. That's how it was about 6-7 holes in, as you finally started getting everybody on the golf course. And I will tell you, though, when I started thinking something could happen, JT kind of pulls even. You got some other matches start swinging our way. Mm-hmm. And then you look back at the Bryson match. You're like, he's only 3 down now. And then he goes, I think he birdies 3 holes in a row. And you're like, shit. As soon as he went all square, I'm like, this is a real possibility. You kind of started looking at everything else. And then you're like, they're only winning 1 match. There's 3 or 4 tied. And then we're up in 3 or 4, right? And it was kind of like, man, it's starting to become, teeter in your back of your head, this could actually, if things go their way, it might actually happen, right?
No, seriously. It, European team, the only winning match for them on the board, Ludwig beat Patrick Cantlay 2-1. And that was that got them to 13. So they would have only, they need 1 point to retain at that point. But you mentioned JT wins on the last hole, a huge putt over Tommy. Cam Young beats Rose 1-up. Bryson comes back from 5 down to half his match with Matt Fitzpatrick. Scotty beats Rory 1-up. Xander takes down Rahm 4-3. JJ Spawn beats Sepp 2-1. Ben Griffin wins 1-up. They were just, once you got to that point, like you said, where JT makes that putt to win, and from right before that moment on was you could feel and hear the roars and the momentum change.
Yeah, and I'll tell you. So after JT made his putt to win his match, I was like, I gotta know, because they flashed it on the screen early on. They're like, USA's plus 600 and 680 or whatever to win, right? And I was like, I gotta see, after he makes that putt, I'm like, I gotta see, right? I want to see what the odds are, because I know they've drastically swung the other way, and you could just kind of, the feeling on the course. JT won in his match after being pretty much down the whole match, right? At best he was tied for most of it, or most of the back 9. But I think it went to minus 120 for Euro and plus 100 for the United States. It drastically changed, and you could kind of feel it at that point. You're like, at that moment, I'm like, as soon as JT made his putt, I'm like, oh shit, this might actually happen. I'm like, we got to finish this. We were on 17 when this was all going down. I'm like, we got to finish. I need to get in and watch the end of this, because there's a real chance at this happening.
Yeah, it was crazy. I had actually gone to Kroger to get our shopping done, and I just flipped it on in the car to listen to it on the way there, and it was right when JT made that putt, and I was like, holy shit. I just left the house, and this is what's happening. So Nick was actually texting me in the store, and he was, the one that relayed the info about the Henley missed putt to me. I was a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, I think I sent this in our group chat, but we were on 18th hole when Henley missed his putt on 17.
Yeah.
He had about 12 feet or so to win the match. And as soon as he missed that putt, I looked at my dad. I said, he's not winning this match. Like,
No.
I just felt you feel it. Like, when you play enough match play, like, you feel it. You're like, that's going to mean something. Like, you got to end it here. Don't give him 18, right? Like, don't give him any more holes to tie this thing up. And then, unfortunately, he's going to have to live with that for a really long time. And I feel really bad because if you look at the statistics from Sunday singles, if he plays anybody else, he wins. Yeah. Anybody else. Him and Lowry had the best stroke gained by a long shot. And so if he plays anybody else that day, he wins his match. Unfortunately, he played the guy that came in second in strokes gained putting or strokes gained total in singles, and he ends up tying that, losing 18 and tying that match. And I feel bad for him because I think based on how his week started, for him to really kind of show some guts and like get rid of the nerves and play that well in singles was, I think that's pretty telling about. Those are the type of people you want on the team, right?
Yeah.
Like, it might not be going their way, but like, they're going to give it their all. There's no ego. He doesn't seem like he has an ego anyway, at least from my thoughts and feelings on it. But those are the kind of guys you're like, okay, this guy can be a long-term on this team. Terrible course setup for him. Terrible. But I think that's going to change with the next few, courses that we're going to be seeing here.
Yeah, I just pulled up the data golf strokes gained stuff. Russ gained 3.92 and Lowry gained 3.71.
Yeah, if he plays anybody else, he wins, right? Like,
they were both better than a shot and a half better than the next closest player, who was Xander Schauffele. But dude, Lowry just does it so, like, his was all chipping and putting. Russ gained 2.5 just on approach.
Yeah.
So like, God,
and that's his game, right? Like, it's irons and putting, right? That's his game. Unfortunately, like an old shot, it became a bigger deal when you see Scotty hitting from 170 and the people they're playing are like at 140, 145. So, but again, it was just a terrible course setup. Adare Manor, I don't believe, from what I know about it, is not very long. It's not as long as Bethpage, right? So it might be, if he does make the team, might be a little bit better setup for him. But again, I think it's impressive. You could feel the nerves coming off him on Friday to come to Sunday and do that and play that well. I think that's pretty telling.
Yeah. All right, we got to talk the man in envelope rule. What? Just give it to me. What's the take here?
Okay, I said this, and you know this. I texted it. This is before any of this stuff went down. I said that's soft as shit. I said I think it's soft. I said, and I think I was like, it's soft as Charmin. I like my normal line when I think something's soft. And then as we got closer and closer and it was getting closer, I'm like, now it just reeks of shadiness. Now, it's like, you're and the reason I say it reeks of shadiness, they knew they were outmatched in singles. That's not their strong suit. It really never has been. Other than Rome, if you look even in some of the our losses, we've always played really well in singles in our losses, right? So like coming into it, now I don't think they think, oh, well, they're going to come back from this, but you get yourself a half point closer, right? Yeah. And I'll just say this. Victor looked pretty fucking healthy when they were celebrating.
And when he was walking in the putts on Saturday afternoon, right? Yeah,
it's just magical how it's just like all of a sudden, Now again, it probably wasn't. I just hate the rule. Period.
Right.
I don't. Even if we did it, I'd be like, that's stupid that you get a half point for you withdrawing somebody. It just doesn't make any. That'd be like you withdraw one on like a Friday of a tournament, and they're like, well, we're still going to give you a paycheck because you were 9 under. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. That period.
Yeah, exactly. Total agreement. Like even like I text with you and Hinkle earlier, like the Solheim Cup, if you withdraw, then you lose the point. Like it's a concession, right? You concede the point. That just should be.
You can't play, you don't get anything, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's the simplest solution here.
And the women's, I said this, women's golf is the gold standard, right? Of how golf should be handled. I mean, I just think it's crazy. And, we were sitting in the clubhouse afterwards and he goes, what if 5 guys just decided to withdraw?
Yeah.
They would have won without even hitting a tee shot on Sunday. Think about that. I mean, that's how stupid that is, right? Yeah. Think about that. That's how dumb that is. Truly how dumb that is.
I think when you just look at it from like a sport perspective, right? Like literally any other sport, any other athletic event or whatever, if you withdraw or you can't go, like you don't get credit for it. Like you don't, it's like the one exception to this. So it's just crazy. And then also it puts you in, to have to put somebody at the start of the week in an envelope and be like, hey, this is the guy I don't want to play if, this happens. Like, that sucks for Harris English,
I feel bad. I mean, he wasn't playing particularly great. But I feel bad because he really only got to play twice. He didn't get to play a singles match. And, let's just call it what it is. Like, you look at his age and things like that, like, and his playing ability might be his last time, right? And you feel more bad for the guy that can go and you don't get to play, I think.
Yeah. Also, this just like shines more light on like how bad the Morikawa English pairing was. Like you literally put this guy
in the envelope.
You said this guy was the worst player on our team, but yet you played him twice and probably 2 of the most important matches that you had out there. So
yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just think it's stupid, but I didn't even think about that. That guy was like, I mean, not that they would do this, they wouldn't do this, but they could have withdrew from 5 matches and just never play, like just didn't play the rest of the matches.
Right.
They would already won the cup. Like, think about that like, how stupid is that?
Very, very stupid is the answer. All right. I want to do some like quick team and, captain player grades here. We'll start with Team Europe. What LD, Luke Donald, what do you give him?
I mean, you got to give him an A again, right? Like,
yeah, dude, A+.
The guy just, like, everybody loves him. Like, he's hard to hate. Like, I can't even hate him. Like, there's some guys on the Euro team that I don't like, but, like, I can't hate Luke Donald. Like, just,
no.
You heard about the attention. It's been said over and over. His attention to detail, this and that. And, like, it just seems like he doesn't do anything wrong. I don't know what, like... but it's hard to root. He definitely gets an A++. I don't think there's anything less than that for him. You can't win 2 Ryder Cups in a row and get anything less than that. So
no. And then when asked, hey, will you be back in 2027? He didn't say no.
Why would he?
Why
would he? I wouldn't say no either.
He could just ride off into the sunset and this, honestly
like winning 2 Super Bowls in a row and you're like, you got everybody coming back the next year and you're like, I think I'm a step away. Like, you're not going to do that.
I know. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what goes on with the captaincy for Europe for 2027. All right, we'll run down the board here. Tommy Fleetwood played 5 matches, got 4 points. Feels like an A.
That's definitely an A.
Yeah. His only loss was the singles match, which, he lost 1 down. JT made that putt on the last. So
yeah, and JT played his ass off on Sunday. So it was kind of one of those deals. Like, all these matches are coin flips when you get these guys. So especially singles matches, right? But yeah, he still gets an A regardless of the loss in singles.
He also led the event in strokes gained total and scored the most points. So
that checks out. That
Tyrrell Hatton, Tyrrell Hatton played 4 matches, got 3.5. No losses,
I would say that's probably another A. Every time they cut to him, seemed like he made a putt that meant something. I mean,
I'm with you. Rory McIlroy, 5 matches, 3.5 points, 3-1-1. Singles was a loss.
I'm going to keep my heart out of this. I would give him a B+. I think there's a little spoil to him losing to Scotty. I think it spoils it a little bit, like as far as the grade wise.
It's hard for me. I mean,
especially the Scotty that we rolled out there this week. It was not the best form,
Sure, but he also played with Russell Henley twice, and no offense to Russ. And who else did he play with? Bryson.
He played with DeChambeau, and then he played with Cam Young once.
Yeah, Bryson in like a panic match that like wound up with like a potential fight towards the end of it.
I didn't hate. I love that move. I know it didn't end up getting him a win, but I did like that they did that. And I think we kind of talked about that last week. Of it could be a possibility, right?
Yeah, you could have seen it if it didn't feel like I said, like a panic. It felt like Hal Sutton when he paired up Phil and Tiger and they got their doors blown off. It just felt like one of those. The ZJ pairing up Brooks and Scotty. Like those feel like panic moves in the where you're at. In the event,
that didn't feel like a panic move. It just felt like we need two of our best players out there and we need them together. Kind of thing.
I guess. I'll say A- for Rory. Mainly just like pretty much called a shot and then went out here and took like the direct abuse from the fans like the entire weekend that he did. I'll give him an A-. John Rahm, God, five matches, 3 points. He went 3-2. He looked like the dude for the first day and a half of this.
I think I used the exact words as he went in the time machine and went back 3 years to his U.S. Open year. The guy looked like that Rahm. I mean, again, was it not like every time you cut to him, it was like, dude's making a putt or he's hitting a good shot. He has that shot on Friday morning out of the fucking heather where they were done. They were dead. Hatton snap hooks a drive. They're dead. And they almost ended up winning that hole after being in the heather off the tee.
Yeah, and I should mention those four guys I just mentioned all were 2-0 in foursomes, by the way.
Yep.
All right, we'll go through these a little bit quicker now. Matt Fitzpatrick, 4 matches, 2.5 points. This is a B+ for me. Good on Fitzpatrick.
I was going to say it's not quite an A, but he played fucking pretty good on Friday, and he played pretty damn good on Saturday too.
Yeah, and he got off the mat. He came in here with a really bad record. Good on him to perform that way. 4 matches, 2 points from Ludwig Aubert, 2-2 record. Kind of felt like he didn't have his best stuff.
It felt like a C+. Like it felt very average.
Yeah, I'll give him a B-.
Yeah, maybe a B-, only because he did body bag Cantlay on Sunday.
Yeah, he kind of slammed the door on the whole
Cantlay
event.
never led in that match. Like it was just from the beginning. So I'd say it was a C+ before singles, probably a B- after he beats Cantlay. Which turned out to be a gigantic point, by the way.
Yeah, that slammed the door.
If he loses that match or ties, it's a whole different story.
100%. Shane Lowry gets 2 points in 3 matches. He was 1-0-2. Didn't lose, but kind of honestly played more of the role of like Rory's bodyguard for most of the tournament. He did secure the winning point, however. So, feels tough to not give him anything other than like. I think I'll give him a little more than Ludwig. I'll give him a B because he got the 2 points on 3 matches.
Yeah. I'd say it's a B. The winning point probably takes him up from a C to a B.
Yeah. Justin Rose, same thing, 2 points on 3 matches, but went 2-1. Another guy that every time I looked up, this guy was making a putt. I love Justin Rose now. I can't. This total
again.
Flip for
he's
me,
just one of those guys that I'm like. Can't root against him. I can't root for him. I'm not going to root for him in the Ryder Cup, but it's hard for me to be like him over a putt and be like, miss it. I can't do it. I can't. He's too good. I'm giving him an A. I think given his age, given his what he was on the team for, he did exactly what was asked of him. Right?
Yeah, 2-0 in 4-ball. He lost his singles match, but yeah, played his role to a T. I'm with you on the A for Rosie. Victor Hovland, a complicated one here. 3 matches, technically 1.5. He forfeited / halved his singles match. I don't know. C-, D+. Like he was there. I don't remember anything other than
D+.
Yeah, I don't think he's not notable in this other than the withdrawal, really. To me.
Yeah. He
made that big putt in the afternoon on Saturday.
He made a couple big putts on Saturday, but other than that, it was kind of like meh. Yeah. A lot of these matches come back to luck of the draw too. Who you're playing, right?
Yeah.
And like, if you catch a guy that's not playing well, like you might not have to play particularly well. And it kind of felt like that. It was like they kind of just got the right matches for him to get a couple wins, and it just, I don't know. The withdrawal, though, takes him down to a D. I mean, I don't know. To me, you got to find a way to tough that out and play. But
yeah, so Sepp Straka got 1 point in 3 matches. He was 1-2. So I didn't know this, but apparently him and his wife, their child came very prematurely, and that's where he's kind of been and why he's struggled for the last few months. So honestly, like, hard to expect anything from him. Getting a point, playing with Rom, D,
yeah.
I can't fault the personal situation, but he was one of the poorer performers.
I would say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give him a C, only because in his Friday match, whenever they needed him, he did something.
Yeah,
like,
he
it
was
wasn't
a
a lot. Like, they only needed him on like 2 or 3 holes, but like when they needed him to do something, he did something. And that to me is just as important when you're playing a team event, like, and with a partner. It's like, look, you go out there and like, I don't need you on every hole. I might need you 2 or 3 times a day. And that's kind of what he did, and he did it well, right? So
yeah,
I'd say a C. I'd give him a C.
I'll bump him up C- on. You've convinced me.
I don't think he was the worst. I think he might have been the worst putter on the Euro team. Or close. He was at the bottom, but he's a ball striker, and everybody knows that. That's kind of his strong suit. So
yeah, the crazy thing with him is his ball striking was ass this whole week, and he actually gained almost 4 shots putting.
Did he really?
Yeah, but that's playing 4-ball, that can happen.
Yeah.
Rasmus was 0-2. Rasmus gets an F. He was the worst strokes game player in the tournament. They only played him twice. We'll give him an F.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
All right, flipping over to the Euros. Keegan Bradley, the Americans. Keegan Bradley. What do you give?
I'll tell you what. I'm probably going to give him a better grade than most people, but I'm going to give him like a C+. And the only reason I say that is C+ because it's so low, because he just was doing the same things and didn't really change anything, right? Like, it's one thing to like not change anything if the matches were close on Friday, specifically the foursome matches. Like, hey, it's the luck of a bounce, right? Like, if you lose one down, that could easily flip the other way tomorrow morning, right? But they got guys that just got the break speed off of them, and you didn't really change anything other than Cam Young being out there. That's why it's so low, but I think it's a little bit higher only because I do actually genuinely believe that like a lot of the guys really love him. I think for the most part, from a standpoint of like, how Zach Johnson felt like he was like nowhere important when he needed to be. Yeah. And then he was the one time, and like it made that stupid like talk, Spieth into hitting a 3-wood. It kind of felt like Keegan was doing all the right things, and it just wasn't working out, right? So that's why I'd say I give him a higher grade than probably most people would.
Yeah, I think he was a crazy single session away from possibly being considered the worst captain in history. Like, truly. And that's coming off of the ZJ debacle last time around. So
yeah, but I'll tell you this time around, like, the Euros played decent in Rome and blew them out. They didn't play this good in Rome. Like, I know what my eyes are telling me. You could probably find some statistics to back that up, but I would bet that you would find that they probably putted better this week than they did in Rome. So I think some things definitely went against him more than just ZJ just kind of being a lost cause. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
having a couple of the wrong guys on the team. I think he had the right guys on the team. Like, if you're looking at like who should, maybe you talk about Chris Gotterup being on the team rather than a Harris English, only because you're trying to get Chris Gotterup some at bats, assuming that he might be a big part of the future teams. That might be the only mistake he made on the team. But other than that, he had the right people. But that's the thing with ZJ, right? We went through the list, and you're like, there's at least 3 guys on this team that shouldn't be on this team, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's, it's tough to say when you get this result, but like it felt that way, I think, leading up to it. And he got put in a situation that was kind of impossible to begin with. Like, we can debate that too, but like, the whole will he pick himself or not, like that. I mean, that just should have never been a thing. Like Luke Donald is like thinking about, these guys' beds in their hotels and stuff, and we're debating if our captain should be playing or not.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the last time you see someone so close to their playing career, even if they have a hunch that they're not going to be around in a couple years, right? Even if you have that hunch, I think it's going to be the last time you see somebody that even carries a PGA Tour card that's going to be considered as a captain. Like,
sure.
And they're under the age of 50. I really think that's going to be the last time you see that.
Yeah. God, man. I don't want to put him on the same level as EJ, just my own personal biases.
It felt better. It had a better feeling to it. It really did.
Kind of, but like the setup is like he has a big hand in the setup. They didn't get that right. They made it more of a putting contest, which was not what they should have done. They had the better ball strikers, the better hard course players, things like that.
Yeah, just to think about this. So I saw a stat. I think it was like on Saturday evening. The Euros won 33 holes, or of the 33 holes the Euros won that they were in the rough, 22 of the times they won the hole from the rough, the Americans were in the fairway.
Yeah.
So think about that. So they're in the rough. We're in the fairway. They won 22 of 33 holes.
Yeah. They, I just don't know. The setup was bad for them. You rolled out English and Morikawa twice. To me, it was a panic decision to put Bryson and Scotty together instead of, breaking them apart. I don't know. D- just so I don't give him an F, but like it was not good.
And I want to know, I would love to know, like, is it all him? I think a lot of it has to do with the PGA of America.
Oh,
like
100%.
He can't be the only one back there. Like, this is how the course should be set up. There's no way. So some genius at the PGA of America was like, we should cut the rough down. Like, we've got guys that bomb the ball. Actually, I would say it's flipped now. They're relatively the longer team compared to us. We have more ball strikers than we do long ball hitters. Like, and the problem is you just think of Bryson and it's like, that's not the whole team. Why we say that the Reds are just getting shelled.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I turn around and it literally says home run on the screen.
But yeah, I think it's more of a root problem than it is a captain problem.
No, I've 100% agree with you. It's the whole infrastructure, but just specific to this system and grading it, like, I'm going to give Keegan a D-. Run through the players real quick. Xander played 4 matches, got 3 points, 3-1. That feels better than actually like how he felt like he performed to me. But him and Cam Young tie for that top spot and point scoring with a 3-1 record each. I'll give both of them, I think. You know what? I'll give Cam Young an A and Xander an A-.
I would agree with both of those. Yeah, I think Cam Young definitely gets an A. Xander surprised me. I'm not going to lie. I was just
ready
not
to write
really
him
shown
off.
anything this year, and guy played pretty good. He played pretty damn good.
Total agreement. JJ Spawn had 2 points in 3 matches. He was 2-1. Played only 4-ball. Would have liked to see him in foursomes.
Would have loved to see him in foursomes.
Really strong putter and a great iron player. Like, that seemed like it would have worked pretty well. God, man, it feels like he should have played more. That's tough.
I'm a little sad. The U.S. Open champion just didn't get as many bats as he probably should have.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. We didn't. That's where I go back to Keegan. And it's like, did we believe in the data? Did we not? Are we playing recent form? Or are we playing pedigree? Like, it didn't feel like there was an actual consistent strategy, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. JJ, I'm going to give JJ a B+.
Feels right. Yeah, honestly, a lot of it's just because he just didn't get a lot of chances. I think that's more where I'm leaning on. It's like, when he did, I don't think he played bad. I think he actually played okay, But yeah, I'd say that's a pretty fair grade given the chances that he actually got.
JT gets 2 points on 4 matches, 2-2. Took the loss in foursomes on Friday morning. That was tough. JT's really like kind of the soul of this team. feels like a B. He doesn't have his best stuff, but he's like, he played 4 matches. Like,
and I'd say after watching him play Friday morning, I was like teetering on the idea like this guy shouldn't see the course on Friday.
I know. It felt like he literally looked like
pulled it together. Like I think he pulled it together. Yeah. He gutted it out with what he had. Like he danced with the girl he came to the dance with, right? Like he didn't have his best stuff, but he kind of found a way to get a couple wins. It feels like it should be a B, maybe a B plus.
Yeah, I'm there too. All right, it's going to start getting brutal here. Cantley played 5 matches, went 1-3-1, 1.5 points. That D.
Gigantic letdown from Rome. Yeah, I would say. I would say early on you were thinking, "Holy crap, this is the guy that we got in Rome," and it just kind of slowly fell apart as the week went on. And kind of just what we've seen this whole year kind of poked this ugly head up the rest of the week after Friday morning. So yeah, I'm giving him a D plus.
Yeah, D plus. Same thing for Bryson. 5 matches, 1-3-1. It's another D for me.
I think he could have. I think he hit the ball pretty good. He just didn't make any putts. It's like until Sunday in the singles matches, like he's just overreading them, maybe hitting them a little too hard, and it's just like I think if he could have possibly made some putts, it probably would have been a lot higher grade. He just didn't make anything. I don't know what the stats say. I forgot to look up his putting stats, but it didn't feel good. It just felt like he had a lot of chances to kind of turn the tides, and he didn't. Right? Like,
I mean, he was barely positive, top half of the field. But when you couple that with he was a stroking 1.2 strokes better off the tee than anybody else in the field. It just didn't, like you said, didn't do enough putting to make that count. He also lost a stroke on approach. That's kind of tough too. But yeah, so I don't know. That's again, this is like your studs got to perform in these events, and these two guys. Yeah,
if you look at their equivalent to Bryson and let's call it what it is. He was our second best player on the team. Just given last 2 years of data and all that, like he's top 2. Like it's Scotty then him. If you look at it that way, their equivalent to that is probably who? Probably you could throw Rahm in there, maybe Fleetwood. So like their Rahm Fleetwood made putts, right? Yeah, ours did not, and that's really kind of what it boils down to.
Oh boy, a lot of bad here. Your 1 point getters: Sam Burns, Ben Griffin, and Scotty Scheffler. Burns is an F. I don't think you can take him on another team at this point.
No, we've been there, done that. Oh, he's the greatest putter. He's top 5 putter on the PGA Tour. It's never transferred to the Ryder Cup ever. No. If you're on the team to do something and you haven't done it in 2 Ryder Cups, unless you auto qualify, you're out.
Yeah, Ben Griffin only played twice. Felt like another guy that should have played a little more. Good course fit. He won a singles match, lost in 4-ball, playing with Bryson. 1 point. God, it feels like incomplete because he didn't play that much, but maybe like a C-.
Yeah, I felt like it was just another guy that's like the statistics say that he's a top 5 player on our team.
Right.
But we roll out Cantlay, we roll out Morikawa, and it's kind of like you either believe in the analytics or you don't. And if you don't, then you don't, right? And maybe that's why you roll these teams out. But if you do, he needs to be on the course. And I just don't think he got a fair shake. I really do not. And it's hard to get in a rhythm when you see the course twice.
Yeah,
it just is. And I'm actually shocked he played as well as he did in singles because he only saw the course once in competition before singles. So I'd say a C plus maybe.
I could see that. Scotty Scheffler, this is a resounding F for me. Partially maybe not his fault, but like once this is same thing with Tiger where it was like, he was 1-3-1 and he won his singles match. Like this.
It's like once he's going to win a singles match, right?
Yeah, 1-4. The only win was a singles match. Like some point you have to ask the question, like, can this guy like play team golf? Like it gets to that point.
I will say he's at the disadvantage of being the best player on the team. He typically gets the worst link, right? Of any, he's going to get the worst player in 4-ball. He's going to get probably one of the worst players in foursomes.
Yeah, my counter to that is somehow the Europeans find a way to like.
They make it work.
Rory's got a great record. Rahm has a great record. Like, they've doesn't seem to matter on that side. So, yeah, tough for Scotty. I don't know where we go from here on that.
It's got to be an F, though. Your best player can't play that bad.
No, 100%.
Can't happen.
Last three guys all got a half point. Harris English only gets his half point because of the man in the envelope situation. I hate to do it to him, but this is an F for me too.
Yep.
Russ Henley, I'll give him a little bit of credit for grinding back after, kind of a shockingly bad Friday morning. Maybe a
D plus.
D plus, yeah. I was teetering C minus, D plus, but like you left the putt short. They kind of gave it to him too.
D plus.
D plus. Colin also another F for me. 0-2-1.
Yeah, just again another guy. You don't auto qualify. You're not on this team in 2 years. That's just kind of how I feel about him.
Yeah. Which all of this brings us to yet another beatdown. Our draft. You kicked my ass. 19 points to 13.5. Congratulations, you've won one of these things now. You're off the mat.
Doesn't feel good, but I'm happy I finally won something.
Yeah, I took Scotty and Bryson right off the hop, and that's pretty much all you need to know about how things went for my team. But yeah, you snaked me on Tommy, you snaked me on Cam Young in this, and that was 7 points for you right there that were massive. So I hate to see you win with Rory. That feels like I did that to myself.
Like it. Feels like blood money.
Yeah. All right. A few more things in the Ryder Cup. Okay, so lasting memories of this one. I wrote a few things down. I think Keegan / the PJ fumbling this one because like it's really hard to lose these home ones at this point. Pairing Morikawa and English twice. You got the wrong tees for Scotty and Henley. The course setup was bad. The fact they even named Keegan captain to begin with, like literally a surprise phone call to Keegan Bradley himself. Just all of it is going to be like, I'm just going to remember this as kind of like a fumbled, Ryder Cup. Despite the close score at the end, it was definitely not that close. I wrote down just like kind of the cringiness of like the American fans, like between the cheers, the behavior, the throwing of the drinks, the fuck you Rory stuff, how some of the players themselves behaved, like just like really cringy stuff from our side.
I want number one. It's New York. Like
right.
It's been happening forever. Like,
yeah.
Go ask Jordan. Go ask Reggie Miller. I saw Chipper Jones tweet out. They're like, I played the Mets 15 times a year or 16 times a year. He goes, whenever we played them in New York, my wife and kids were not allowed to come. And it didn't matter if it was during summer break or anything. He was like, we never brought them because they're just the shittiest fan. Like, they're just shitty. Like, they're just shitty. Like, it's just that mentality of like, New York. It is. And it's like, to be honest, to expect anything different, you kind of, again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying to expect it to go any differently is probably naive, right?
No, but it was just one of those moments is like, you're sitting there as an American, you're watching it and you're just like, man, like we're getting our ass kicked and then we're going to act like this too on top of it. It's just like, it's so bad.
It's funny. It got brought up like the ticket prices, right? We're like, oh, it's going to be pretty tame.
Yeah.
And it ended up just being like a crazy amount of country club kids that use daddy's credit card with big letter hats on, shirts untucked, yelling these things at the players, right? Like, it's what it ended up being. Like, call it what it is. I mean, people are taking $1,500 like helicopter rides from the city to Bethpage.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like,
definitely the way to do it, though.
I mean, yeah, exactly. But I don't. Yeah, I get where you're coming about on the fans. I didn't expect anything different. I knew this was going to be a story, win or lose. Like, I knew this was going to be a story because New York fans are shit. Like, they're shitty. The incoming player, visiting players, they just are. It is what it is. It's a tale as old as time.
Yeah. Some other things. Look, the coverage and stream situation on Friday, I took the day off work, got up early to go turn this on. Couldn't get it to work. YouTube TV
was just a YouTube TV thing.
Yeah, constantly fucking up. And then I would try to go watch it on, you try to find something on Peacock or you go to NBC Sports or whatever. One of the 5 different ways that you could watch stuff through, stupid NBC stuff. None of that shit was working either. You can only get featured groups, whatever. I go to the pumpkin patch with the family. That was our whole plan for the day, was take the boys, go pick out pumpkins, do that whole thing. Come back in the afternoon, turn it on. It's still fucked up. Like, it was, what a disaster. Like, this is just horrifyingly bad. The Colin Morikawa BMW commercial, I will always remember that about this Ryder Cup.
As he's playing like absolute garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, just getting waterboarded with Colin propaganda as he's, giving away every hole out there. And then last but not least, me saying that John Rahm would not score a point as my bold take before this tournament. He started off 3-0. Just like right off the bat, looked like he was going to score 5 points. Thankfully, kind of came back to earth. But yeah, just shoved me in a locker right from the go.
Okay, my lasting memories. Number one, yeah, I was kind of like on the same path of like to think the fans were going to be any different than they were was probably just there was no way it was going to happen. That was number one. Number two,
Ohtani just hit a second home run.
Yeah, I know. They're getting absolute shelled right now.
Sorry, go ahead.
Number two, again, this is Rory, coming in and saying, we got to golf players and stuff like this got to be held to higher standards. And then 8 minutes after that, he's covering up Bryson's name on the bridge with a flag on purpose. He's always talking out to both sides of his mouth. I don't like celebrate. Like he did that, right? Like, it's like, okay, we're going to be held to higher standards. What are you doing now? Right? Like, celebrate. Like, I'm not sprays champagne everywhere. I could care less. Right. But doing that, like, literally 10 minutes after he said that they should be held to higher standards is comical. Number three, with all the articles wrote, I feel like our whole entire media wanted the European team to win. Dude, you can go read any article. I'm telling you, read any article. And I maybe read 2 out of the probably 20 or 30 articles I read. It felt like an American media member wanted the United States to lose.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is like the content's better if they were to lose, right? Like they go out and they win. Right? They go out and they win. It's not as good of a story. Like, it's, they won the home one. Now we're going to Europe and we'll see what happens there. Like, them losing is a bigger story. If they had lost in what looked like was going to be record fashion, like, the knives would be out big time.
Oh yeah.
Way worse than they are. So yeah, I there is that element to it, but I'm just being honest. Like the whole like American bravado act, just it's kind of tired at this point, to be honest.
What act are you like? I don't see an act.
The Keegan, like, we're going to go to Bethpage and kick their fucking ass. Like, was literally up in the, the player areas.
See, I don't have any problem with that.
I don't know. I'm not saying.
I hope we go here and tie. Like, I don't know what he's supposed to say.
I just think it kind of,
Well, you got to understand what kind of captain he is. He's the rah captain. Like, that's what he is. And I knew we kind of figured we were going to get that, right? Again, now if like Tom Lehman said that, yeah, I would be shocked. Like, if Tom Watson said that as a captain, I'd be literally on the floor, passed out. For him to say that, knowing what kind of captain he is, he's younger, kind of makes a little more sense.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that's just how I can see how some people don't perceive that well. You know,
I can see that. Yes,
especially when you're coming off of what happened in Rome, and I don't know. Just there's that side of it.
Mine are all a little more tinfoil.
Which is fine. I love that. Yeah,
I'll tell you this: the Rose situation, that was manufactured. They were trying to make another hat situation, like the whole LaCava thing. They were trying to manufacture someone for enough momentum to get across the finish line over the next 36 hours. It felt very manufactured. I think it really boils down to aim point's shit. And it needs to be stopped. Like, I mean, that's really what it comes down. Like, that's how it all started, right? It was like Justin Rose goes to do aim point. By the way, the nicest caddy on the PGA Tour is the one that he's like blaming this on, right? Now, if Joe LaCava does it again, you're probably like, okay, you might have an actual like argument, but like Ted Scott literally might be the nicest guy in the world. And everywhere you talk to people, you hear things, he's like the nicest guy, and that's the guy you're going to go after. Like, it felt a little manufactured, felt a little weird, specifically coming from Justin Rose. It felt very like they were trying to use it as a momentum thing. And I don't know. It just didn't land well with me, especially because it was the guy they were going after. Like, you want to go after Joe LaCava, have at it, right? Like, he probably deserves it after the whole Rome situation anyway. But yeah, it was, that felt it felt very like try hard manufactured. And then you get, Molinari up in there and he gets involved in it. It felt just too manufactured for me.
Yeah. That's, the tension's running high, a little bit of like, you're on edge. It's the afternoon. You've been out there. You're hearing all this stuff from the fans. It's, I think it's also easy, like in that heat of the moment, to like react a certain way. And then once you start down that path, you got to see it through. You're not like, you know what I mean? Like you're not stopping and apologizing.
Yeah. I guess I get that a little bit, but same thing. Lasting memories of the course setup. I mean, you got in a putting competition when you're not the best putting team. That seems like a gigantic mistake. I think the biggest loser in all this is the PGA of America. Yeah. What an utter disaster of an organization for the most part. I think local chapters are really good, and I'm not trying to throw all of them under the bus. I think local chapters are really good. Specifically, we here, like Southern Ohio, our Southern Ohio PGA is fantastic. So I don't want to lump them. I'm not trying to lump them all together, but the PGA of America, like the actual like hub, is just an utter disaster, like from the top down. You got the CEO coming out and saying he didn't hear what some of the stuff that came out was said to players and stuff. I'm like, dude, just own it. Like, you put it in New York, own it, right? Like, when we put it here, we were worried about it, right? Like, just own it, right? And instead, he comes out and like says that like he didn't hear much of what was said on the course. It's like, dude, open your phone and watch a video. Like, it was every other video that was available on Instagram and Twitter. Every other video was the guy calling Rory the F word, right? Like, telling, or Rory telling him to F off. So it's like the whole organization from a top down is just a dumpster fire. Specifically the people involved with the Ryder Cup.
That's a good transition to where I want to go before we get off this topic.
That's kind of my last one. The rest of it was kind of rehashing what you said. But those were my main takeaways.
Yeah, so where does the U.S. team go from here? Just think about this for a second. Coming out of, I think it was Glen Eagles, the 2014, the Tom Watson thing, they decided to do this whole task force thing, right? And it was like, we're going to have a system, like guys that are going to be captain, we'll go through these vice captaincies, and there's going to be a whole program, the players will be more involved, all this stuff. And we're not even, barely 10 years later, and it feels like that's kind of, with this whole Keegan move and all that stuff after last, Rome, that's already out the window, it seems like. So, like, is there another task force? Like, who's going to be the next captain? Like, the problem here for me is, like, I don't really know where they turn at this point.
As far as the captaincy goes, Tiger's got to want to do it, right? Obviously, his playing days are numbered, right?
Yeah.
chances are he's not going to qualify for a team. He's probably not even going to be in discussion for a team. Obviously, if he wants it, it's his, right? Problem is, I don't think he wants it because he knows more than probably anybody in the world of the inner workings of the PGA of America, right? And
Sure.
who is involved in the Ryder Cup. So clearly, to me, like if your best player ever doesn't want anything to do with that, I think that's pretty telling, right? And then you look at that and go, well, that probably limits their choices a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, someone looks at it and goes, if Tiger Woods doesn't want this, do I want this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think over the next 2 years, I think Phil would make a great captain at some point. I don't know what that relationship looks like. Unfortunately, we haven't had things roll our way as far as injuries and guys, we thought Liv was going to be more determining factor for them, and it was actually hurt us way more. But I think as far as a captain, I mean, like it's a short list of Tiger, Phil, and I don't even know a third name, to be honest with you. But it's like if it's one of the, to me, it's like you got to roll out a big gun, and those feel like your two biggest guns. I mean, I know Phil's probably gone off a little off the deep end, but maybe that's what they need. I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know. But those are kind of the big guns. If you're thinking like who's next in line, like Kisner's not going to be a captain, right? Like, he's been a vice captain, but he's not going to be a captain. You got guys like who were the other vice captains this year? Drawing a blank right now.
Jared Woodland, Brandt Snedeker.
Yeah, like Brandt Snedeker.
Webb Simpson.
To me, Brandt Snedeker captaincy would be like the most dull thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of a personality, but again, like the playing, like he's won some on the PGA Tour. I get all that, but like when you get a guy like Scotty who has like, the majors he has and things like that, it's really hard to look at a guy like that and go, and maybe doesn't have like the amount of wins. It's really hard to look at a guy like that and have any respect for him. I know that sounds bad, but I don't know. I don't know. To me, it feels like Adare Manor is a Tiger Woods or I don't know who's going to be the captain kind of situation. I don't think Tiger takes away captaincy. Just knowing how impossible it is to win. But you never know. I think he's got to be your first call.
Yeah. It's tough because it's like, I think you alluded a little bit of something there where it's like we have sort of this lost generation like of American players where, there's Tiger and Phil like hoovered up so many of like the majors and the, the oxygen during that time. And then you have a bunch of these guys, like a Keegan or, trying to think of like Stuart Sink, like these guys that like won one major during this window that were American, but it's like, you don't think of them as like all-time greats or whatever,
captain, right?
Yeah, or a captain even. Like Luke Donald never won a major, but he did get to number one in the world. So it's kind of like we have this weird spot where it's like, Tiger, does he want to do it? Does he not? Phil, all the relationships in his life are pretty much busted as it relates to this event.
But like 2-4 years from now, right? 2 to 4 years from now.
Yeah, maybe.
You don't know what that looks like, right? Maybe, he's done with his live thing and I don't know. Maybe that relationship looks a lot better. And obviously not for Adare Manor, but because that's, they're going to choose that captain here probably in the next, 4 months or so. But, when they come back here, like maybe that relationship looks a lot better at that point. To me, if Tiger doesn't take Adare Manor, it's probably a Tiger situation when they come back to Hazeltine. I would guess, but and it's kind of one of those things. It's like, do you go back in time, right? Like, do you go back to an Azinger and go, do you want it? Like, do you go back to a Stricker? Hey, you won on American soil. Do you want to go to Adare Manor? Like, and maybe it's a yes. I don't know. You just don't know. And to me, we're in a situation where it might be go back to a guy that won one, right? And just go, look, you seem to know, kind of it went well for you, right? So do you want to do it again? And a guy that's won on home soil, like an Azinger or a Stricker, they might be like, hey, this is our chance to like have our Luke Donald, right? And have one that's you want on home soil, you want away, and maybe that's what you do. I don't know. There's just not a lot of guys that are going to be first time captains that I'm like, that's a perfect fit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think I could see them going back to the Davis Love III or the Steve Stricker bucket.
Yeah,
like the last two winning captains, steady hands, kind of thing. Like,
yep.
I feel like that could be an option.
I know Azier's a little older, and maybe that's not a great fit, but I'm just kind of thinking of like going back to the bucket of your very few wins you've had over the last 20 years.
Yeah,
and seeing if one of them wants it.
Yeah, the other, I mean, I mentioned Stuart Sink before. He was a vice captain last time around, but not this time. He won an Open Championship. Maybe a little more, ingratiated with the fans and stuff over there. Could be an option. I think everything's on the table. I wish they would consider a non-player, because when I think about who do these players all respect, they maybe have problems with other players. They listen to caddies though.
Yeah,
and what would be wrong with having like Bones be the fucking captain?
No problem with that. To me,
have a guy that can break down a golf course, they can set egos aside, pair guys together, look at data. Like you just need someone to be a good captain. They don't have to be a phenomenal player.
Yeah, to me, I think Phil actually brought this up. He did say we need to go in a different direction, maybe a non-player.
Yeah.
He had mentioned, I think he mentioned caddies, and he mentioned like maybe a coach from another sport. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but there's so many people involved that know golf that it might just take somebody of like, I don't know who that would be, right? But I'm just saying, like, it might take somebody to be like, look, I'm removing myself from the golf stuff. I'm here to be a coach, right? Yeah. I'm here to deal with the mental side of things or whatever, and deal with those details that are away from golf, right? That seem to just kind of elude us sometimes. But I think a caddy would be a great solution. Bones would be first on the list, obviously, for how long he's been, caddying for and around the guys. And he's well respected by pretty much he's caddy for just about everybody at this point. It feels like. So yeah, I wouldn't, with our lack of options, I wouldn't hate that. Now, if we had like Tiger Woods and Phil still was in good graces and they were lined up to be captains, then no. But we don't really have. You can kind of go any direction, which is kind of what they tried to do with Keegan, and it kind of backfired. But
that's why I think like to your point, the Tiger thing, obviously, just because he would have the respect of everybody there, like you kind of have to check your ego when you're trying to talk to Tiger Woods. And then I think that, like you said, going outside the realm of players, that's, these players, they tend to like measure up, it's just like they look at their cupboard compared to the other guy's trophy cupboard, and, it's as easy as that. But if you're pulling in, you're bringing in a legendary coach, this is a bad example, but like just have Coach K come in there and,
again,
fire it up. And I just think
it's not necessarily about the golf stuff, right? It's about being a shoulder. It's about being, someone to lean on, someone to talk to. Like, that's really what a coach is, right?
Yeah, someone who knows and understands how to put people in their best possible spot to succeed. And that's a good coach like that is way better than a former golfer.
It's not like Coach K was the best basketball player ever to live, right? Like, you know what I mean? But he's a great coach, right? And I just think if you get someone in there that it's not going to be all about golf, but it's going to be about more of the team aspect and the coaching aspect to it, it might not be the end of the world to look outside of a player.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. 2 more years. 2 more years. I think it's time, though. We're an hour and a half in now. Thanks, everybody, for hanging with us. I think it's time to head to the patio.
Yeah.
Before we do that, I did want to follow up on your question from last week, because an avid listener, a close friend of ours, reached out to me, Andrew the Gunther, and he called to my attention. You had asked the question kind of about like, what's something that somebody says about them or whatever that you just like don't respect or whatever, or give them
like a food preference or
stuff like that. And he point blank told me like, this is something you did not respect in me, and it was like how bad his hangovers are.
And they're bad. They are really bad.
there was a time we played in a scramble together. It was the Yingling Open at Glenview Golf Course, the local Cincinnati spot for those that don't know. And the night before, this was back in the days of, Liberty Center Gunther. This was single man Gunth. A lot of stuff going on there. We don't need to get any details, but he had himself an evening the night before. Had a situation where, he was invited to a little bit of a house party where, some characters were there, and in particular, there was a woman there who had some pretty gnarly fingernails, we'll put it that way. If Gun's listening, he's probably gagging as we speak.
I remember this.
And, she wasn't doing much clean living. And I guess at one point he had made the comment to us about how he always starts gagging every time he tells this story. She had started to chew on these fingernails. Kind of, yeah, you're gagging now. And I'll leave it at that. But, I knew this information. I knew he was hungover. We're a few holes in. And this is a little bit of a dick move by me, but, I had brought up the fingernails. He violently vomited on one of the tee boxes at this event. And that was a situation where I didn't respect, the spot he was in, and I took it a little too far. So shout out to Gunn for reminding me of that story and giving me permission to share.
That's a perfect example of the question I asked.
Yeah, so that was that. I want to make sure we followed up there. I'll lead off with the questions tonight. Just kind of watching, Yankees Red Sox today, and the Reds back in the playoffs, stuff like that. Baseball is very nostalgic, and it got me thinking a lot about sports in general. And I think we've talked about this with from a coaching perspective, but sort of from a player perspective, I'm curious. Growing up, it was always you had reverence for the shortstop of the Yankees, the quarterback of the Cowboys. There was these positions in sports that really held some gravitas.
Yeah, it was a high profile position. Yeah,
you just knew whoever it was purely because they were that, right? For no other reason necessarily.
Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of lost that a little bit in sports.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And I'm just thinking who, why, what has led to sort of the I don't know, the downfall of stardom,
You know what I think? I was kind of thinking this the other day. You know what I think most of it is because you'll have these guys on the team that might not be the biggest star, but they have a big social media following. So it kind of pulls from, and the guys that are the big names don't necessarily have the biggest, they might have a ton of people follow them, but you can clearly tell that they have an intern running their social media, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I can't think of any good examples off the top of my head, but the defensive back has 5 million followers and he's actively on Instagram and, he's doing video. You can clearly tell he's running himself, right? Doing videos and stuff like that. And then you have a Tom Brady that's obviously gigantic star, right? Probably has 5 or 7 million followers, but he's popping out a picture, a clearly canvas made picture, right? You get what I'm getting at, right? So I think social media's changed that a little bit, where it's we now get a peek into some of these guys' lives that might not be the biggest stars, but that's our access to it. So it kind of pulls from that, Ellie De La Cruz from the Reds, kind of pulls from that stardom where it might be the pitcher in the bullpen, right? That is a fan favorite or something like that. So I think that has something to do with why we lost it. I think that's kind of my opinion. I think that's a big part of it.
That's a part of it too, and I think part of it that is related to that too is feels like these guys there used to be a mystique to it, right?
Yeah,
and now it's just because of social media and everything being online.
There's really no access, mystique, right?
Yeah, there's no mystique, and now it kind of has leveled, to your point, leveled the playing field where that defensive back can have 5 million followers and have a huge following or whatever. Where in the past you wouldn't even probably know that guy's name in some scenarios.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you look at it like a Michael Jordan, right? Back in that day, the mystique of you'd hear stories about his life, right? And stories about what he did on the golf course. I always go back to that story that it's like some urban legend that, he went out and played golf against Larry Bird, and drank like 24 beers. And then like told Larry as he was leaving the golf course that he was going to drop 50, and he came out and did it. Right. Like stuff like that. Like, but now it's like, there's so much social media that it kind of like LeBron, what LeBron's doing on a Tuesday, right? Like he's so active on social media. It's like, oh, LeBron's golfing today, where it's like, you don't have the, oh, I heard this story from a guy that knows somebody, on the Cubs that, so-and-so did this, right? Now it's like, everything gets verified. You know what I mean? So it's like, the mystique is definitely gone from these guys' lives, I think.
I think that too, and like you mentioned too, like the Tom Brady's, the mega superstars, like their accounts probably run by somebody else. 60-70% of it's sponsor content anyway. Like it's not like you're getting any actual real access either. So I think that takes away from the mystique of it, because it just feels like kind of corporate. You're like, it's like there's a 27-year-old that graduated college 4 years ago that's running this account. You know what I mean? Like, So I just remember like back, when I was a kid, like I wasn't a Cowboys fan, but I had an Aikman jersey. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was the Cowboys quarterback of that period. Like stuff like that used to like mean something in sports.
Yeah. Like, well, I think we have stars in sports, but it's like, how many times have you heard like a kid from Cincinnati be like, I love the Dodgers because of Freddie Freeman? Not much, right? Like but it used to be like, I love the Yankees because Derek Jeter, or, I love the Cardinals because Mark McGwire plays for the Cardinals. Like we don't really have that anymore. But I think a lot of that has to do with, I think like over stimulation from it, of like constantly seeing stuff and all that. I think that definitely, I just remember like all the Jordan stories you would hear, and it's like, there's never been verified. It's not on social media, but like you hear people tell these stories and you're like, fuck, that makes them even cooler. You know what I mean? Like, but you don't know if it's true or not. But like a lot of these guys, it's like, hey, like I heard Joe Burrow broke up with his girlfriend, because of this. And it's like, it's verified in like a day. It's like, oh, that's true. Yeah. Yep. That's right. Yeah. It's like, we're just so connected to it now. I think that's a problem too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you probably knew nothing about Troy Aikman, right?
Oh, heck no.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but now like you probably know everything there's to know. Like if you really wanted to, you could go on and find everything that you need to know about Joe Burrow or Dak Prescott, or, name some star of a big team, right?
Sure.
You can find out everything about that. So I think that's a good question though. It is true. We don't really have that anymore. It's sad too at the same time.
Yeah, it's a weird spot, It's like you just used to have interest in like other teams and stuff like, and other athletes just because of that. And now everything feels so flat. It's all like PR'd, you care more about your fantasy team or your bets or whatever than you do like the results of the actual game. Like, I don't know. It's just all sports is in an interesting spot, I think.
It is. It's the reason why I've got a Tucker Kraft jersey now. I've retired the Aaron Rodgers jersey. I've got a Tucker Kraft jersey. He's a tight end. 12-year-old Justin would just be distraught of this decision, but 35-year-old Justin has a Tucker Kraft jersey. So
there you go. Nice.
Well, we talked about the captaincy. That was going to kind of be the road I went down, but sure. I thought of this. You heard Rory talking about like how much it meant even before to like win something, win the Ryder Cup on American soil and all that. But I think what my question has to do with is like, what would you trade for one of your team? Like, you got to trade something, and it's got to be a value. Like, what would you trade for like the Reds to somehow find a way to come back from 8-2 down and somehow win the series and win the World Series this year, or the Bengals to win a Super Bowl, or the Bearcats to win a national championship, whatever. What would you physically trade for that?
Man, yeah.
And what would you trade it for? Because you can't just be like, oh, I'd trade this for one of these. Like, it's got to be like, I want this and I would trade this.
Yeah. I know this is we've had similar questions to this, but it's tough when you're asking me this at 15 compared to 35 is such a different.
Like, I'll give you everything I got.
Yeah, when I was 15, I'd give up a lot.
I'll give you the $900 I got in my bank account.
Yeah, and now I'm so jaded, that it's like fuck this. I don't care if they win anything, but yeah, I'm trying to think of like what's that line, because like would I give up my golf? Like would I quit playing golf? No, absolutely not. So what's that next tier of stuff that like I actually care
without
about?
like having to give up a kid or something. I'm not asking you to do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking things like that where it's like, God, dude. Like I think I'd be willing to give up. This is so stupid. Like I would give up driving. Like you could tell me, like
I think I would too, honestly.
I would suffer through the rest
Ubering
of my life
places
I'd suffer through public transportation for
a really good one,
for a Bengals Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like I'm literally giving up freedom in my life to get that.
That's a really good one, actually.
That's like the most amount of pain I think I'd be willing to endure. That's what I was trying to think of.
That's such a good one. And that's so much pain too. Like that's painful. Like you had to Uber places and like ride a bus places. Like that's tough.
We us that live kind of in the suburbs and, kind of take for granted the fact we could just like walk out our door and then hop in a car and go wherever we want to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, and it's not like we live in an urban center where you can just walk places either. You know what I mean?
No,
so that would be not great.
Like for me to get to the nearest, like if I needed to go get groceries and I had to walk, it would take me 25 minutes to get to somewhere. And I'm pretty close to like a Walmart, and I wouldn't want to shop at Walmart, but that's the closest thing.
I mean, you could walk there in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a fun walk.
No, and you have to like get the groceries back, so like there would be some serious hardship if you gave up driving.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So obviously I am lucky enough to pretty much witness every one of my teams win a championship other than the Reds. So that would definitely be what I would trade it for, would be a Reds World Series.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
The World Series would be so gratifying too.
It would be.
It feels like it's
such a long journey. Like what they're doing now, like this is just the beginning, right? Like this, I mean, you got a 3-game series and then you got a 5-game and then a set, like it's such a long, and just like pitch by pitch for a month long. I mean, think about that, right?
I know.
Not that we've ever really been through that in our lifetime. We were way too young, way too young to remember the Reds World Series in '90. But definitely a World Series. I'll be honest with you. I think I would trade like never being able to drink again for a World Series.
Yeah.
Like
I debated
that would cause me a lot of pain because like we do dry January and all that, like, and I do it pretty easily. But like it would definitely, like, when it would hit would be like, I have a wedding this weekend, right? I think you do too. I believe.
Yeah.
Like going to a wedding and like everybody's drinking, I'm just sitting there sipping on water. That would kill me a little bit, because I'm a very social drinker.
Yeah.
So just to never be able to drink again, I'd 100%. But the problem is, it's got to be more pain than that. Like
that's where I was at too, because it's like this year I've done 3 sober months, right? Like I think I could give it up if I wanted to. That's why I went with the car things. That feels like more pain to me.
Yeah, that's a lot of pain. I again, wouldn't give up golf. That's
too much pain.
Way too much pain. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Can't quit that.
I think.
Would you give up your cell phone?
I would. I think I would. That would be for my job. That would be very painful. I'd have to get like some kind of landline, but I think I would give up my cell phone for a World Series.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like those things that are like everyday, like very attached to you kind of thing. Like driving, phones.
That would be pretty painful for the job I have, but I think it would be worth it.
Yeah.
So giving up a cell phone.
Maybe specific, like maybe giving up a smartphone, right? So
Yeah,
it's like you don't have apps.
Like,
but,
I
like,
got
you
a
can make
flip phone.
calls.
Yeah, no, like giving up any mobile phone. Period. Like smartphone, like it's all encompassed in that. I think that would be really painful. Really, really painful. I was thinking more along like if I had to give up something for like just a year. Like I didn't say not driving, but I just have to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I get that's not driving, but like I can't even take an Uber. I can't take I can ride in my wife's car, but I like if we're going somewhere as a family. But if I'm going somewhere myself, I just have to walk.
Whew, yeah. That'd probably be a really healthy year.
Super healthy. like I don't leave a gigantic bubble, but like I'm just thinking like tomorrow's Wednesday Night League, right? So if I was going to play in Wednesday Night League, I would legitimately have to leave here at 12 o'clock and walk. It's like start walking.
Yeah, and you might be pushing it.
Okay, probably 11:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that extra half hour.
But that would be pretty painful. And it would change a lot of things you do. Like, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah, not doing that.
Like, that's outside of like a 5-minute drive. That means it's probably like at least an hour walk. Not doing that. Like,
yeah,
that would get tough.
Incredibly tough. I mean, at least, I was kind of rethinking the grocery thing. Like, you could get groceries delivered. You could get food delivered. Like, there's some things
like
you
I'm
can
going to
take
like die
advantage of.
and like not have any food, right? Like,
yeah, but just the ability to like go do something like on a whim would be impossible,
Oh, like extremely impossible. So,
yeah.
like, hey, can you be here in 15 minutes? Where you at? No, it's going to be about 4 hours, actually.
I've heard, people have kind of jokingly said this before, like the cut off your pinky toe. Would you consider that?
Yeah, I would.
Oh my God.
I would do it. I actually don't even think I would hesitate. Like right now, if someone walked in the door, like some ghost walked in my door and was like, I'm taking that pinky toe and it guarantees the Reds win the World Series this year. That pinky toe, I'm getting the knife for the guy to cut that pinky toe off.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I thought you'd say yes. I didn't know you'd say it so emphatically.
In a heartbeat. It wouldn't even cross my mind to say no. Like, I'd be like, well, like, can you take me to the hospital after we do this? Like, just so I can get it sutured up. Like,
are you qualified to do this? And
I'd let them take it live too. No anesthesia, nothing. Like, boom, off.
Yeah, you just got to cut that thing. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I wouldn't even bat an eye. Wouldn't even bat an eye at it. Nope.
I think an hour and 47 minutes. I may even let them
take a finger. I mean, it would go that. I mean, I would.
I think an hour and 47 minutes in, that's a great place to end this episode. Oh my God. Oh God, if you made it this far, you just got a good laugh at least, I hope. So, man. All right, thank you all for listening. Please subscribe, rate, review the show. Follow us on social media at Back9Sixpack. Man, yeah. Until next time, cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 Six-Pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 Six-Pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.